Everybody has problems. Everybody has negativity. Everybody has struggles. Everybody has frustration. You're not the only one, and your shit is no fucking harder than anybody else's. And any story that you have that tells yourself that is a fucking internal mechanism excuse. That's real shit. But we all have a choice. And what defines who we're going to be and whether we're going to be fucking regular Joe motherfuckers or we're going to be champions and people who other people tell fucking stories about comes down to what we do when we're on the brink. And when you're on the fucking brink, it's one of two things. It's A, go be a bitch, or B, do the fucking work. And those are your fucking choices. When you get to that point of frustration, of anger, of being pissed off, that is tremendous fucking fuel for you to go out and do the shit that you want to do. You need to take everything that everybody said and shove it down their fucking throats. When you walk into a fucking room, those motherfuckers should look at the fucking floor. And you guys need to stop being pussies and start fucking using all the negative shit. I love those people. I should write them a fucking thank you card. Because if it wasn't for those motherfuckers, I wouldn't be who the fuck I am.
What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom, Manga chapter 556. So after reading this chapter, guys, I have to keep myself composed. I don't want to let all this Ouhon'S hype and Akou hype get to me, because we've already learned in chapter 555 that Riboku is going to be coming with some sort of weakness. So even though I saw the Akou army perform a feat that I thought would be impossible for them to achieve last week, which was actually being able to hold off all three of the Zhao armies, I feel like we already know that Riboku has already found a way to defeat this. And I feel like they're just building up Akou to kind of tear him down. So it's kind of like one of them things that even though it hasn't played out already, you kind of know where it's heading.
Are you okay?
Alright, so the chapter starts out with Gaku Ei looking over the battlefield, and in the distance he notices flags, but not just any flags. These are the flags of the High Shin unit. And as his troops murmur amongst themselves that the High Shin unit has arrived, Gaku Ei thinks to himself, finally, which sends us into a flashback back when his master Keisha died. And we find out that as he was trying to get to the bottom of who defeated his master, he was so enraged that he even lashed out at some of his own men. But now he feels that his moment for vengeance has finally come. And he's been waiting all along for this moment to finally engage with Shin of the High Shin unit. Then we move over to Shin, who looks focused, almost like he can tell the energy that's coming from the other side of the battlefield. Then Ten rides up alongside Shin, letting him know not to lower his guard today. Just because they targeted Gaku Ei as the weakest general doesn't mean that he's weak in any way. In any other force, him and his men would easily qualify as one of their strongest hitters. Not to mention that their morale is incredibly high due to the fact that they're going up against the same High Shin unit that killed their master Keisha. But Shin tells Ten that she doesn't need to tell him that, and that he soon will be uniting Gaku Ei with his master. Then we see En riding up, saying that the Gyokuho unit hasn't arrived yet, which he thought was strange because he thought they were supposed to be working with them. But Shin laughs it off, saying that they probably got so hungry that they started searching for bugs under a rock or two. Cause you know, with the food supply so low, they gotta try to supplement their diet.
How would you describe it?
I wouldn't have said almonds.
Oh dear, so did you swallow? Did you?
Or did you spit it out? I swallowed the worm.
And it was
done.
interesting to know. Interesting to note.
I'm impressed that you swallowed. I really am.
And then we see Ten actually thinking about a plan that she already had thought up, but knowing the type of person Ouhon'S is, she knows that he probably wouldn't go for it. Speaking of the devil, we see that Ouhon'S has arrived on the scene, apparently not liking Shin's joke at all. But what I thought was even funnier was that it looks like even Shin's men call Banyo an old fart, and that they thought it was funny that he was still even actually alive. But as these two rivals meet, you can see in their eyes that there's no love lost between the two. And Shin starts to banter off, saying, "Look at the young master coming to visit us peasants." probably here just to say something like, "Don't get in our way." But Ouhon steps his game up to the next level, where he tells him that he has absolutely nothing to say to him at all, saying step aside. The one he really wants to speak with is that wannabe strategist girl of his. Ouhon just came in taking all types of shots. I really actually feel bad for Ten. This is the second time in 2 chapters that Ten has been crushed by Ouhon. But basically what Ouhon wants to do is, since he's heard that Gaku Ei has a grudge against the High Shin unit, he wants to position them in the front to bait Gaku Ei, while having the Gyokuho unit positioned behind the High Shin unit, so that when the opportunity is right, Gyokuho will move up from the left rear and punch through Gaku Ei's flank to take his head. Everyone appears stunned that Ouhon actually came to them with the plan. But this shock is short-lived, because Ouhon doesn't want them to get anything misunderstood. He says that this is a simple but effective plan, taking another shot at Shin, saying that he is well aware that to expect any advanced maneuvers from him and his men would be an exercise in futility, and that something like this is probably the limit of their abilities. Which Shin takes as Ouhon trying to pick a fight. These guys are such rivals. I think that even if they were old men, they would still be trying to throw hands. But Ten actually agrees with the plan, stating that she was actually thinking of doing pretty much the same thing, stating that even though it's simple, it still has pretty good odds. Hearing that Ten agrees, Shin accepts the plan and says that Ouhon and his boys can hide behind them. The only difference in Shin's plan is that he expects to be the one to take Gaku Ei's head. Hearing this, Banyo cannot hold his tongue. He asks how can Shin be so flippant, and if he understands the severity of the situation they're in right now. But Shin laughs this off, telling him to worry about himself, because he's the one who's already old and injured, and that maybe next time, him and his men won't be around to save his ass. Which gets Banyo a little bit flustered, but I love to see that the High Shin unit are just laughing it up and rubbing it in when it comes to Banyo, because not long ago, it was him who was the one making them look like fools, so it's nice to see that they're getting a little bit of payback here. And as Banyo and Ouhon set off to rejoin their army, we can see that Banyo cannot believe how carefree Shin's attitude is. He wonders if he's actually really just a simpleton, and says that he doesn't believe that he understands how crucial the roles of the High Shin unit and Gyokuho are in this battle, and that even now all he's concerned with is scoring the biggest fish. Which prompts Ouhon to think back to the lines that he remembers Moten saying about how the great generals, no matter how dire the situation, always saw the battlefield as if it revolved around them. And after briefly thinking about Shin in this light, Ouhon says to himself, not possible. He's nothing more than an idiot. Banyo, thinking that he was still talking to him, not realizing that he probably wasn't even listening to his rant, says that he agrees with Ouhon and thought the exact same thing. And then we see that all the armies are moving into formation for their battle on the 9th day at the Sukai Plains. And as all the armies are setting up, Chogaryu is quick to notice that Ouhon's unit is placed in such a way that it looks like he could assist either the Akou army or the High Shin unit's army. But he realizes that this is just made to look this way at first glance, when really their target is most likely Gaku Ei. Which makes him laugh, because he realizes that he, along with the Gyun army and Bananji army, are being underestimated, and that Akou intends to stop all 3 armies at the exact same time. Realizing this, he decides that they should not disappoint him, and prepares to engage. And then we see with all 3 armies attacking the Akou army as they planned, they quickly assume defensive formations, and even though the Akou army is mainly known for its offense, they showed themselves capable of putting up an iron wall that was able to block a simultaneous attack from all 3 armies at once, where they were unable to even penetrate their first line of defense. Seeing this, the 3 Zhao generals appear shocked, but apparently this is the reason why Akou was so confident the last chapter. Back at Ouhon's camp, we see that they're getting a report that the Zhao army hasn't even been able to break through Akou's front line of defense. Banyo is shocked to see just how sturdy that defense is, but Kanjo states once the Akou army digs in and wants to keep a hold of something, it takes a lot to pry them loose. And Shotaku even adds that they're pretty motivated too. But Ouhon knows it takes more than motivation alone to pull something like that off, and even suggests that he got a hint a few days ago of how sturdy that guard of theirs is. And this was an interesting point that Ouhon made here, and I think it was pretty easy to miss the significance of it, but I'm going to discuss that more toward the end of the review. But Ouhon continues to say that he can tell them right now that this is no ordinary defense. So while everybody's wondering what Ouhon's talking about, Kanjo actually brings up the fact that even though he doesn't know too many details since he's not with the Akou army, he's actually heard that after serving under Osen for so many years and being his right-hand man, that Akou is actually able to imitate some of Osen's tactics with exact precision. And Ouhon, just from looking at it, says that he can't even begin to think of a way to tackle a defense like that, and says that this defense is truly something befitting of Osen, and that it's not something that will fall to brute force. With that, we find ourselves back at Kane and Riboku, and we see that Riboku is already acknowledging that Akou is using Osen's tactics, and the fact that he's able to use it in actual battle shows just how remarkable Akou is. And he even goes as far as to say, had Akou not sworn his allegiance to Osen, that he could have possibly been a supreme commander of an army himself one day. But with that being said, Riboku believes that if they slay him here, that would be the last nail in the Osen army's coffin. And with that, we see Bananji setting out, sending word to both Chogaryu and Gyun, letting them know that he himself shall break apart the Akou army's defenses, and for them to be ready to launch an assault. Then we see that Chogaryu realizes that Bananji is taking action, while at the same time he's receiving a message from Bananji. But before he even gets the message, he's distracted by the movements of the Gaku Ei army as well, as they are already on the attack. And he goes on to say that even though the Quinn have tried to draw out Gaku Ei by using his master's death as bait, it also has the effect of working them into an enraged fervor, one that draws its fuel from the lives that Gaku Ei and his men are willing to offer up in the name of their fallen master. And if you misjudge how strong it burns or how deep it runs, it would then be the High Shin unit who would be paying with their lives. And with that, we see Gaku Ei's spear piercing through Quinn's soldiers as he yells to his men to kill them all. And that was the chapter in a nutshell, guys. And that was a great chapter of Kingdom, guys. I really actually enjoyed this chapter. Any chapter where we get to see Shin and Ouhon interact is usually going to be a good chapter. And I think even though Ouhon seemed to be like a prick this chapter, you can kind of see that he actually values the High Shin unit a bit, because I think it's kind of evident, especially the way everybody reacts when they see that Ouhon was the one to propose the plan, because this is something that Ouhon would never do. And Shin pretty much called what he expected to hear out of Ouhon's mouth right at the beginning of the conversation. And even though it just seems like Ouhon's throwing a lot of insults their way, you know deep down he has a certain level of respect. I think this just has more to do with their personal rivalry. And we see this even when he's starting to think of Shin in terms of a great general. But I really can't wait to see more from these two, because I really just think that their relationship is going to develop a whole lot more as they fight together. And I actually expect them to come out of this war a lot closer than they've ever been before. But moving on, in this chapter, Ouhon did bring up the fact that a few days ago, he was able to notice a small hint of how sturdy the Akou army's defense was. And I thought that was real interesting, because that tells us that a few days ago something actually happened on that battlefield that gave Ouhon that hint. And if Ouhon was able to pick up on it, then Riboku was able to pick on it as well. And whatever it was that occurred a few days ago is exactly what Riboku saw that allowed him to pick out the Akou army's weakness. And I love that Hara did that, because sometimes it seems like Riboku is just getting this information out of nowhere. But now, after hearing what Ouhon had to say, it kind of lets us know where Riboku got his information. Especially because when he was talking to Bananji, he said that he had noticed something after observing the battlefield for a few days. So in my opinion, I do still think it has something to do with Gunei, and I expect that we'll probably find out next chapter. So we'll have to see how things pan out. I still think they're going to aim for Gunei and try to take him out first. And if Akou doesn't get killed in the process, I do think he'll still be out of commission to where he may get hurt so bad that he can't continue to fight. And finally, when it comes to Gaku Ei, I really don't know who's going to wind up killing him. He might not even die in the next chapter. I really actually wanted Kyokai to be the one to kill him, but the way it looks like it's being set up to be Shin, which I thought was kind of weird, because having Shin take out Gaku Ei and Gyun seems like it might be a little much when there's plenty of heads to go around for everyone, but you never know what can happen. But anyway, guys, that about does it for my review for this week. Let me know what you guys thought about the chapter in the comments section below. Please leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.